The rain had just stopped when 16-year-old Emily pushed open the glass door to Rosie's diner. Her crutches clicked softly against the black and white tiled floor, each step a careful balance between her own strength and the metal under her arms. Her right leg was in a brace, something she'd been forced to wear since the car accident that had changed her life forever. The diner smelled like fresh coffee and pancakes. For Emily, this was her little escape from the world that always seemed too loud, too fast, and too unkind. She loved sitting at the corner booth by the window, watching cars pass by while sipping hot chocolate with whipped cream. But today, things wouldn't be so peaceful that if you'd told Emily that an hour from now a dozen roaring motorcycles would pull up outside, and the most feared biker gang in town would walk in to stand up for her, she wouldn't have believed you. But that's exactly what happened. And it all started with one cruel laugh. Emily slid into her booth, placing her backpack beside her. She was halfway through sipping her drink when the door jingled open again. 3 boys from her school strolled in, Tyler, Rick, and Jason, the kind who believed the world existed for their entertainment. They spotted her instantly. Emily froze, praying they'd just take a seat somewhere else. But like vultures, they moved toward her table. Well, look who it is, Tyler smirked, leaning on the edge of her booth. Didn't think they let cripples eat here without supervision. Rick snickered. Careful, Ty. She might trip and sue you. Jason, not wanting to be outdone, added, maybe we should help her eat. You know, feed the poor little bird. Emily's cheeks burned. She tried to look down, to disappear into the safety of her hot chocolate. But their words hung in the air, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. A few customers glanced over, then quickly looked away. Nobody wanted to get involved. Rosie, the elderly waitress, started toward them, but Tyler's glare made her stop in her tracks. The boys laughed louder, mimicking her walk, swinging their arms like they were on crutches. Emily's hands trembled. She wanted to say something, to defend herself, but the words caught in her throat. At that moment, a man sitting alone at the counter turned his head. He was in his late 40s, wearing a worn leather jacket with faded patches. His eyes narrowed at the scene, but he didn't say a word. He simply finished his coffee, tossed a 20 on the counter, and walked out into the drizzle. Emily thought nothing of it. The boys eventually grew bored and walked back to their table, still laughing. Emily forced herself to take a few more sips of her drink, but the warmth was gone, not just from the cup, but from her entire day. She couldn't even finish her pancakes. She glanced at the clock. 12:42 p.m. She decided to leave early. At exactly 1:35 p.m., just as Emily was about to stand up, a deep rumble shook the diner windows. At first, it was faint, like distant thunder. But it grew louder and louder, until the unmistakable sound of motorcycle engines filled the street. Every head in the diner turned toward the windows. A line of massive bikes rolled in, chrome glinting under the gray sky. There were at least a dozen of them, each ridden by men in heavy leather vests, the patch on the back reading, Hell's Angels. The man from earlier was at the front. They parked in perfect formation outside. Engines cut off. Silence, except for the jingle of the diner door as they walked in. The leader, a tall man with a gray beard and eyes like steel, scanned the room before walking straight to Emily's table. His boots thudded against the floor, and the air seemed to grow heavier with each step. "You Emily?" he asked in a deep voice. She blinked. Yes?" He nodded once, then turned toward the boys' table. Which one of you three had the big mouth earlier? Tyler froze. We were just joking. The man's jaw tightened. You think mocking a girl with a disability is a joke? His voice was calm, too calm. That kind of calm you knew meant trouble. One of the other bikers stepped forward. You boys ever hear of respect? The diner went silent. Even the coffee machine seemed to stop hissing. Tyler swallowed hard. We didn't mean anything by it. The leader leaned down until he was eye level with him. You meant to make her feel small. But here's the thing, he glanced at Emily, then back at the boys. Nobody makes her feel small when we're around. He straightened up. Now you're gonna apologize. And you're gonna mean it. Tyler stammered, sorry, Emily. Rick and Jason mumbled something similar, eyes glued to the table. The biker leader didn't move. Louder. Sorry, Emily, they said in unison, voices cracking. Good, the man said, finally turning back to her. You ever have trouble with them again, you tell Rosie. She'll know how to reach us. And with that, the Hells Angels sat down at a booth nearby, ordering coffee and pie like they'd just finished any normal errand. Emily didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Her heart was still racing, but for the first time in months, she felt safe. As she left the diner, she passed the leader. He gave her a small nod, nothing more. But in that nod was a promise she'd never forget. Sometimes, heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes, they wear leather and ride in packs that it's easy to ignore cruelty when it's not aimed at you. But the people who choose to stand up, even when they don't have to, they're the ones who change lives.